let's get into this. Today, we're really diving deep into food and wine pairing. But we want to go beyond just, this wine with chicken, that wine with steak. We're trying to figure out the why. Why do certain pairings just click?
Exactly. It's like trying to decode the DNA of taste, isn't it?
Yeah.
Moving past those simple rules to grasp the core ideas, the techniques that chefs and winemakers use to create those really amazing moments.
Yeah, totally. And for this deep dive, we're looking at a really solid article covering the fundamentals of pairing. The goal here is to pull out the key principles, the techniques the pros actually use.
Right.
This isn't about getting you sommelier certified overnight or anything.
Yeah, no.
It's more about giving you access to that way of thinking so your own meals can be, well, better, more exciting.
It's understanding the science and the art. There's chemistry involved, but there's also a kind of poetry to it when it works well. Think of it as your secret weapon for better eating.
Okay, let's jump in. So this whole journey into flavor alchemy, it starts with the basics, right? These core elements.
Yeah, basically it boils down to 6 main things. Bitter, fat, acid, salt, sweetness, and alcohol.
Right.
These are like the levers, the things chefs and sommeliers are constantly adjusting in their heads. Or maybe like a flavor compass, understanding how these play out in the food and the wine. That's step 1.
A flavor compass. I like that. Okay, so the first big principle is balance. Why is that so critical?
Well, because if one thing shouts too loud, either in the dish or the wine, it just wipes everything else out. Think about a really buttery, oaky Chardonnay. Big and bold. Put that with some simple steamed fish.
Yeah, it would just flatten it, overwhelm it completely.
Yeah, but take that same wine and pair it with, say, a rich lobster bisque. Now suddenly it works. The richness meets richness. It feels balanced. Or think about sweetness. An off-dry Riesling with something spicy. It doesn't just cool it down. It kind of balances the heat without being sticky or cloying.
Yeah.
It's finding that sweet spot, that chemistry meets poetry thing again.
Chemistry meets poetry. I like that. And tied right into balance is this idea of matching intensity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Crucial. The article uses a great analogy. It's like sound engineering.
Okay.
You got to match the volume knob of the food with the wine. A quiet, subtle dish needs a wine that whispers.
Yeah.
A big, loud, flavorful dish needs a wine that can stand up and be heard without, drowning the food out.
So, like that example of ceviche, all bright citrus and delicate fish. That needs something like a Riesling, right? High notes, light, not a heavy Cabernet baseline that would just crush it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Or picture a big seafood tower, loads of lemon, maybe some cocktail sauce. That's screaming acidity.
Yeah.
So you need a wine with that same kind of piercing acidity, like a really zesty Sauvignon Blanc. Its sharpness matches the dish's intensity. Try putting a soft, round, oaky Chardonnay with that.
Oof. Yeah, like shouting over a whisper, as the article says. Doesn't work.
Exactly. It's jarring.
Which brings us to weight class warfare. Sounds intense.
Huh. It kind of is. Think about a really delicate cucumber salad. Almost no weight, right? Very light.
Right.
Needs a lightweight wine. Maybe a Verdejo crisp, low alcohol if you threw a big Malbec at it.
Yeah.
Game over for the salad.
Bulldozed.
Totally. But flip it. You've got a big marbled ribeye steak, lots of fat, lots of richness. That needs a heavyweight contender. Something with structure like a Barolo with serious tannins.
So the wine can stand up to the richness of the steak.
Exactly. It's survival of the tastiest, really. Finding the right weight match.
Okay, this next part is super practical. Using regional pairings as cheat codes. That sounds useful. How does that work?
Well, these pairings, they didn't just happen by accident. They literally grew up together over centuries.
Ah, okay.
The food and the wine from the same place, same climate, same soil, they naturally evolved to complement each other. Think about Tuscany, Sangiovese wine and lamb with rosemary. Yeah. The acidity, the earthy notes in the wine, they just work with the local lamb dishes. Or champagne and oysters. High acid, salty tang in the wine.
Right next to the sea where the oysters are.
Exactly. Geography basically wrote the original recipes for these pairings.
Yeah.
It's in their DNA.
So trusting those regional traditions isn't just about being old-fashioned. It's actually tapping into generations of, successful taste tests.
Pretty much. It's a fantastic starting point. Built-in proof that it works.
Okay, the article then gets into aroma and flavor alchemy. How important is smell in all this?
Oh, it's huge. Most of what we perceive as taste is actually smell, right?
True.
So pairings can work when the aromas are similar. They call it congruent. Like Pinot Noir often has these earthy, mushroomy notes. Pair with a mushroom risotto.
Which just amplifies that umami, earthy flavor.
Exactly. But pairings can also work through contrast. Opposing forces creating sparks. Think salty prosciutto with a slightly sweet, aromatic Gewürztraminer. That salty sweet thing.
Yeah, that push and pull. And it mentions that like 83% of successful pro pairings actually use that contrast dynamic. So it's not just okay, it's often better, more exciting.
It seems so. That tension can be really deliberate, really exciting on the palate. It wakes things up.
Let's talk about sweetness. It's not just for dessert, apparently. It's a secret weapon.
Definitely not just for dessert. Sweetness is amazing at taming heat, like chili heat.
Okay.
An off-dry Riesling, maybe a German one, with a spicy Thai curry. It doesn't just cool your mouth. The article says it rewires your palate, letting you taste the other flavors under the heat.
Interesting. Rewires your palate.
Yeah. Moscato can work too.
Yeah.
But what you don't want with spice is high alcohol. That's like throwing gasoline on the fire. Just makes it burn more.
Good tip. Avoid high alcohol wines with spicy food.
Right. Bubbles can help too, though, like Prosecco. They kind of cleanse your palate after each spicy bite.
Okay, practical advice for spicy food lovers. And what about actual dessert pairing? Is the rule really just wine sweeter than dessert?
It really is. Pretty much non-negotiable. If the wine isn't sweeter, it ends up tasting sour or thin, and the dessert just tastes sickly sweet. It's a clash.
Like mixing neon and pastels, it says. Jarring.
Exactly. You need that sweetness in the wine to stand up to the dessert. Think rich salted caramel. It needs something like a tawny port, which has sweetness and acidity to balance it. Or key lime pie's tartness needs the sweetness of, say, a Moscato d'Asti.
Flavored judo, using the wine's sweetness to counter the dessert's sweetness.
That's a great way to put it. Flavored judo.
All right, let's tackle tannins. Red wine territory. That grippy feeling. How does that play with food?
Tannins, yeah, they mostly come from grape skins and seeds and reds, sometimes oak barrels too. They basically demand something to wrestle with, especially fat and protein.
Okay.
They actually bind to proteins and fats in your mouth. The article describes Sangiovese's tannins with rich potato croquettes as a culinary cage match.
Huh. Cage match?
With fat? Often, yes. That's kind of the point. Think about a big Cabernet Sauvignon with a fatty steak.
The classic pairing.
Right. Those tannins latch onto the fat and protein, cleansing your palate. It actually makes the steak taste richer somehow and the wine feels smoother. It's like a reset button for the next bite. It scrubs the richness, the article calls it, a flavor exfoliant.
Flavor exfoliant. Love it. Okay, so this explains the age-old problem.
Right.
Red wine with fish often tastes bad.
Yeah.
Metallic.
Yeah, usually. Because most fish are delicate protein, not enough fat or heft for those tannins to grab onto nicely.
So the tannins just taste harsh.
Exactly. Bitter, metallic. It's like wearing hiking boots with a silk dress, wrong structure, wrong context. Now, fattier fish, like salmon or maybe tuna, they can sometimes handle a lighter red, like Pinot Noir, because there's a bit more fat for those gentler tannins.
Okay.
But for most fish, you really want that crisp acid from a white wine, like Sauvignon Blanc or Albarino, not tannin.
Got it. Structure matters. Avoid the tannin clash unless the food is fatty or robust enough. Okay, let's flip to acid then. Acid is your friend, the article insists. Why?
Acid is a total hero. It cuts through richness like nothing else. It refreshes your palate. Think high-acid wine with rich stuff, seared duck, fatty grilled steak.
It slices through the fat like a flavor scalpel.
Exactly. Or a diamond cutter just cuts right through, lifts everything up, makes it feel less heavy.
And the weird part, acid loves acid. Pairing acidic food with acidic wine?
Seems counterintuitive, but yeah, it creates this amazing electric tension. If you have a dish with lemon juice or vinegar dressing, you need a wine with equally high acid.
Otherwise, the wine tastes flat.
Totally flat and dull. So pairing goat cheese salad with vinaigrette needs a high-acid wine, Gruner Veltliner champagne, or that classic Sauvignon Blanc again. It's zesty, herbaceous thing with goat cheese and acid. It's the LBD of pairing.
The little black dress always works. Okay.
Reliable, yeah.
And then there's texture, something easily overlooked.
Hugely overlooked. Wine isn't just taste and smell. It's mouthfeel, body, weight, viscosity. You want the wine's texture to complement and contrast the food's texture in a pleasing way.
Like creamy risotto needing a buttery Chardonnay.
Exactly. That buttery texture in an oaked Chardonnay mirrors the creaminess. A super lean, crisp Prosecco might feel thinned against it. Jarring, even.
So you're layering textures, like fabrics, velvet wine with a silky dish.
Precisely. Or crisp wine with crunchy food. It's another layer you can play with intentionally. Adds dimension.
Okay, this is all starting to connect. It's less about random rules, more about understanding these interactions. So how does someone listening actually use this stuff practically?
Right, the how-to. First step, be a forensic foodie. Look at your plate. What's the loudest element? Is it fat, spice, acid, sweetness, salt? Figure out the dominant character of the dish.
Analyze the dish first. Got it.
Then use that simple framework they suggest. Identify the main dish component you're focusing on. Pick a wine choice based on its main features, acid, tannin, body, sweetness. And then understand the pro move, the why. Why does this work?
Fatty steak component, Cab Sauv, wine,
Yeah.
tannin, scrub, richness, pro move.
Exactly. Or creamy sauce, oak chardonnay, buttery textures mirror.
Or citrus salad albarino at acid on acid tension.
You got it. Breaking it down makes it a repeatable process, not just guesswork. The sommelier quoted says, treat pairings like Tinder matches, find connections where flavors either complete each other or create that exciting debate.
Tinder matches for food and wine. That's memorable. Okay, and to spark creativity, they share some less obvious, maybe even viral combos.
Yeah, get people thinking outside the usual boxes, like smoked Gouda cheese with Syrah wine.
Ooh, how does that work?
The smokiness in the cheese meets the peppery, sometimes smoky notes you get in Syrah.
Oh.
Like campfire vibes, apparently.
Cool. What else?
Maple bacon donuts with a German Spätli's Riesling.
Whoa. Okay, breakfast meets dessert meets Germany. How?
The sweetness and high acidity in the Riesling cuts through the fatty, salty, sweet madness of the donut. It just balances it. Sounds crazy, works great.
Wow.
Or duck confit tacos with trou Beaujolais. Rich duck, light fruity red. Kind of Paris meets Tulum.
Nice. And the Netflix upgrade. Truffle popcorn with Blanc de Noir champagne.
Genius, right? Bubbles and acid cut the popcorn fat. And Blanc de Noir often has these subtle, nutty, bready notes that vibe with the truffle and corn. It's like a palate cleanse and flavor enhancer all in one.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot. The core elements, balance, intensity, regions, aroma, sweetness, tannins, acid, texture, and how to actually do it. What's the big takeaway?
I think it really boils down to forgetting rigid rules you just memorize. It's about understanding really three main things. First, how those core elements dance together, acid versus fat, tannin versus protein, sweetness versus heat, that dynamic interplay.
Right.
Second, always match the intensity. Volume knobs, weight classes, whatever analogy works for you. Don't let one overpower the other. And third, use those regional traditions as your experience guide, your starting GPS. It's less about strict right-wrong, more about knowing how these forces work on your palate. Chemistry and poetry still.
Yeah, and it really is that cultural time travel idea, too. Pinot Noir and duck confit. You're tasting Burgundy. Riesling and Kung Tao shrimp. It's like delicious diplomacy.
Totally adds another layer to just eating dinner.
So here's a final thought for everyone listening. We optimize everything now, right? Our workouts, our music, commutes, coffee.
True.
Why let eating be basic? Maybe the perfect pairing isn't just something you find on a list. Maybe it's something you forge through trying things, making those taste memories.
Yeah, that's a great challenge.
Yeah.
Are you going to stick with the usual safe bet? Or maybe next time try something different based on these ideas. Swap the usual Pinot Grigio for a zesty Spanish Chexicoli with that salad. Or explore an orange wine with something rich. What new taste memory are you going to create?